I know I don't have a printer.
Good evening. I'm going to open up the November 14th meeting of the Newton Planning Board, and we'll start with the pledge. Pledge of allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay.
Now, before you start
All
up,
right.
I have something I would like to say.
Okay.
I would like to move that the planning board vote its full faith and confidence in Jennifer Rowden and the work she has done for the town of Newton. And I speak with some knowledge of this since I've been on the planning board now for more than 2 years. And I've seen a lot of what she does. I think she does a fine job.
Okay. All those in favor?
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, that's appreciated.
Thank you. I will appoint Mr. Zott as a voting member in Mr. Holland's
You gotta stay.
absence. Okay. And first item on the agenda.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
before we open the continuation of the public hearing, as the board knows, there is currently a lawsuit pending against the planning board naming me as a principal in it, and I'd like the board to vote on whether or not they want me to recuse myself or not.
Okay.
Can we have some discussion on that
Certainly.
before we vote on it?
Sure.
I'm totally unaware of this, so if you could explain to me what,
The applicant has filed a case in Superior Court against the planning board naming me as having done certain egregious acts. The board has voted privately to support and to defend it. However, counsel has suggested that the board may want to take a vote on whether or not to ask me to recuse myself.
I didn't know that either.
I personally do not think it's necessary for you to recuse yourself.
Okay?
The board has you step down again, I'm stepping down.
Okay.
Are you looking for a motion? I
I just-
would make a motion that that the planning board advise
And do
Mr.
anything.
Doggett that we do not believe he should recuse himself.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
I abstained.
Thank you. Okay.
Do we get to read what this is, though?
Yeah,
It's the same that
It-
you read a couple of,
right.
I must not have been there.
At the non-public meeting?
somehow I
No, you
missed
weren't
this.
at the
Oh,
non-public
okay.
meeting. Right, okay.
But
Okay.
that also got emailed to us.
Yes. Yes.
somebody didn't read her emails.
Okay,
I don't have a printer.
all
Okay.
right.
Come here and I read.
Rewinding.
I read
Item-
them at work.
Okay. Item number 1 on the agenda is public hearing continuation for the amended site plan for Coleman McDonough, 27-2 Puzzle Lane, map 14, block 1, lot 27-2. And I believe that Mr. Frankowitz is going to speak for the applicant. Good evening.
Good evening. Scott Frankowitz from Brown Engineering and Surveying. I'm really here just to give an update of where we are on all the permitting and everything. Today, we filed the AOT. I have a copy to hand in tonight of the entire package that we submitted to alteration of terrain. One of the comments at the last meeting, I think it was in September, was you wanted a current conditions plan. That's in the plan set now as sheet 3. As of October 10th, 2017 is the day we surveyed it. That's in the plan set. And I don't believe we had our variances the last time we came to the planning board. We achieved those, we got those approved. So we have variances and special exception in place from the zoning board. And today we received a short review letter from Mike Vignali, and we got a review letter from Rockham Planning Commission that we still have to address. And that's where we stand on the plan and the application right now. And if I could, I'd hand in the alteration of terrain application that we submitted today.
Do you have that with you? Okay. I'll take that, but we're not reading this
Here in
tonight.
your notes.
There are, the variances and equitable waiver are over on the cover sheet on the right side of the latest edition. The variances for the
right
work in
side.
the wetlands.
Over there.
Your other right.
Yeah.
That's why I pulled a big set, so that I could read the words.
Yeah, the last time you were here, you had received one of the waivers, but not the other.
We had received special exception for the
Right.
structures, and
Yep.
then we were still going back for the
Okay.
variances for the wetland buffer impacts.
All right.
That's the drainage plan.
No, this is the AOT, is that right?
Within the AOT would be a drainage plan.
This is a drainage, full set of plans and
Oh, this is both?
application.
So all of the drainage calculations are in that package?
Right, that was submitted to alteration of terrain for review. And
Okay.
with Mr. Vignali's review and with Jennifer's review, we'll modify whatever we have to on the
Right,
plan
because he
set
still needs to look at
and
this.
resubmit
Okay,
with the drainage report.
You're getting a copy to Mike Bagnelli?
Right, typically we submit it to the town and the town gets to them. However you want us to do it, I can send it to him.
I'd prefer electronic if that's all right.
He accepts stuff.
I don't know if Mike does, but I'm fine with
You- yeah.
electronic.
So once we address the two letters that we got, I think last Thursday and then today, we'll submit the new drainage report and the new plans.
okay, hang on a second. Okay. All right, excuse me just a minute. Do you have the letter, the review that Jen wrote? Because I don't have
Would
that
you
in
like
my
a copy of
packet. Wait a minute, maybe I do. I'm sorry, I do have it. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. Did you want to go through these both reviews and answer to it? Is that what you?
With Mike's, I just got it 2 hours ago. I'd rather not go through
Okay,
his.
all right, then don't worry about that one.
There was 5 or so things that Jennifer had, that I can address. The snow storage is on the plans, will be on the plans. The wetland delineation note, that's been revised, and all the plans will be stamped by Tom Sokolowski that show wetlands. Lighting, I have shown, not on the plans you have in front of you that I submitted, but the ones that will be resubmitted have lights and cones of illumination, as well as Gray Bar is doing a plan to show the entire plot of Candlefoot. And then there was a couple note revisions that Jennifer had that will be updated.
Okay. Okay, Jen?
Would you like me to go through anything that hasn't been mentioned as to why I've indicated it in my letter?
Sure. That would be good.
So starting with item 1, per your site plan regulations, architectural renderings are supposed to be supplied. I do understand that these buildings have already largely been constructed. I'm not sure exactly how far along they are. I've only seen a photo of framing that Mike Vignelli sent in September. But typically, architectural renderings, including the height of the structure, in part to ensure it's under your height restriction, which is 35 feet, and the first floor elevation would need to be included. That's in your site plan regulations.
Okay.
Item 2, showing the location of the septic system. Typically, the board has wanted to see the location of a septic system, but has, as a condition of approval, said the subsurface needs to be obtained, and then the note or the number needs to be recorded on the plan before final approval. That's a fairly typical action of the board. That's again in the site plan regulations. It's 715H for septic systems. Taking care of the lighting, sounds like it's going to be taken care of. Snow storage areas. Drainage report has been submitted. The wetland delineation note's going to be taken care of. So on note 9 on the cover sheet, it indicates that excess material on site can be stored on site, and if it's stored for over 14 days, can be seeded, or it can be stored onto lot 27-4, which is one of the adjacent sites that Mr. Coleman owns. I'm concerned that having that note on there may confuse uses that are allowed on 27-4, which at some point, Mr. McDonough may not own that property, so having that note, I think, is a little bit odd. So I think if they do want to store any excess material on the site, indicating the location of where it's going to be stored, and then the note regarding the seating, if it's going to be stored for longer than 14 days, is appropriate.
Okay, so I have a question then. Excess material, you actually mean dirt, right? Piles of dirt?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't mean building materials or anything else?
No, and I think changing that note to say just excess material stay on site and loam seeded is fine. So we'll modify that note to read that.
Yeah, my just other recommendation is to show where you intend on storing it.
We can do an erosion sediment control plan, add another plan to the plan set. I'm not sure. Typically, you don't show stockpiles on a plan set.
I'm not concerned of stockpiles themselves, just the location in the area where you plan to store them. I mean, it can be a flexible area, certainly.
Okay.
Item 8, just changing the number of pages in the plan set. And then item 9, just modifying what would be constituted as substantial completion. Switching that, currently it says the roadway and drainage structures would constitute substantial completion. I'm going to recommend changing the term roadway to driveway so it doesn't get confused with Puzzle Lane being the substantial completion part, but it's at the actual driveway on this site.
I have a question on note 7,
Yep.
because that says that the proposed access road is to be private. Now, is that referring to Puzzle Lane, and now isn't that portion of Puzzle Lane actually been accepted by the town?
Part of Puzzle Lane is a public road, but beyond the cul-de-sac is a private.
Yeah, but this is not beyond, this is before the cul-de-sac, right?
Right.
Right.
It is. Which note are you referring to?
Note 7.
7 on page 1.
Number 7, okay.
The cover
'Cause
page.
I think, and I'm not sure, but I didn't check, but I think you might want to check that piece of Puzzle Land, I think, is already a public road.
Okay, so I'm not sure what the comment is.
Well, note
Note
7 says that the proposed access road is to be private.
Note 7 on the plans you're
On
talking
the,
Right.
yeah, on the first page of the plan.
If all that's intended is the driveway or access road,
Right.
then that term could just be changed to driveway.
We can take that note off. That note, that's unfortunately a leftover from another
Yeah,
site.
I thought that was left over, and things have changed since then.
Right, because I believe you're right. I believe up until the cul-de-sac, the town has accepted that
right.
part, and it's after that that it's all private.
Well, yeah, it's like number 12 on, number 12 is leftover from the original.
Yeah, what says
Yeah, but
When it was
right.
plan
named
set
plan
comprised of
set.
8 sheets,
Yeah,
Yeah,
should probably be changed as well.
yeah, but that one she caught, this one, that wasn't.
Yeah, so that needs to say 10 sheets, right?
11.
11.
11 sheets, okay. Okay. Any board members have anything else? Jennifer?
So overall, I think especially with the submittal of the drainage report, that this is very close to being able to be deemed per your site plan regulations as complete, but I think there's still some outstanding information. Whether you would want to invoke jurisdiction is solely at the discretion of the board, but at this point, they have not submitted all of the information that is in your site plan regulations, nor have they requested a waiver for some of the information.
maybe we'll make one positive comment. I'm glad to see that you put in the boulders.
The what?
The boulders made it
Oh,
onto the
yeah.
landscaping page. In the future, I will probably make a suggestion that boulders be put next to that little parking space off to the north and right of the building. simply because it goes downhill from there into wetlands.
Where again? I'm sorry.
You've got 2 trees with 3 parking spaces between.
Yep,
There should be some boulders there also.
at the end of the parking,
Excuse me?
at the east side of the parking.
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't want anybody rolling down the hill,
Not into wetlands.
so. Okay.
If we accept jurisdiction at this point, we have a 65-day window, at which point he has to have everything completed.
Right,
After the 65 days, we have to either approve or deny.
right.
Unless the applicant agrees to an extension.
Right. Unless the applicant requests an extension.
Right, okay. So I need to know if the board would like to accept jurisdiction of this plan, which gives us 65 days, and, well, gives the applicant 65 days to get the missing information. And
Well, I have a question. Do you agree to include all the missing information that we're looking for?
Yeah, anything, and then there's a couple I got a question for Mike on. I don't know if I can give him a call to talk to him about some of his questions, or maybe I can just put in an email and I'll send it to, there's some of his comments are, say, number 6 on the newest one is clarify roadway lot paving limits. I don't know where he's talking about on the plan set, some simple things
Okay.
like that.
all right. Yeah, I think,
Nothing in here that you
No,
you disagree with, like having a plan stamped by a certified wetland scientist?
No, everything will be included in the plans.
I have a motion
I mean,
to,
there's no real big advantage to taking jurisdiction tonight, and then, because we'll have everything in 2 weeks or so. And we're not really going to be able to discuss much of the plan tonight anyway.
well, that's true, because
But yeah.
we need chance to look at it, and we'll need to have Mr. McNally's final report on your new plan, you know, with the information in the AOT, I mean, the drainage analysis, excuse me.
So it's not going to, really, whether we take jurisdiction or not tonight doesn't move it any faster forward.
No, it actually, it puts an impetus on the applicant to
Right.
not drag things out. I mean, it's 65 days from tonight. We have to have made a decision.
Right,
Hopefully, it won't take anywhere near that long.
Right.
The thing is that when you take jurisdiction, you're saying that you have all the information in hand to review and make a
Right.
decision with.
And though we are confident that it is coming very soon, we still don't have it all.
correct,
That's what Ms. Rowden was,
right.
Correct.
But it has been submitted to Mike McNally twice already, and usually that's not done until acceptance. Most,
what has been,
it's been submitted to Mike Vignali twice for review, and
Oh, you're
most
talking about
towns
the
won't
plan.
submit it to the review
itself.
engineer until
Right.
application acceptance.
That's
Eh.
not standard procedure in my other towns, but it could be in Newton.
yeah, usually you receive everything, it then goes out for review during the 65-day period. We're trying to accelerate it a bit.
Because the only real, okay, we haven't had a chance for Mike to review that, but that's here.
Right.
So the only pieces we're really missing in terms of physical things
Physical things
is
with
the plan of the buildings.
the architectural renderings, the lighting information, and the location of the septic system are really the biggie, and the snow storage area, but that's,
Yeah, the rest of the stuff is sort of easily, getting it stamped and that kind of stuff. It's not,
Right.
Right.
I mean, it's important to be done.
it is important. I would
Right.
certainly recommend it be
Right.
done before any
Thing
conditional
is do
approval.
we want to try to speed up the process a little by taking jurisdiction tonight and looking at the applicant and saying, there's a drop dead date? in 2 weeks, we need to, actually, 2 weeks from last Thursday, we need to have all of that stuff in, or it's really eating into the amount of time before we can make a decision.
Right. How confident are you that you could have that rest of that information in by then?
2 weeks is tough because with Thanksgiving week and everything next week.
Is it 2 or is it 3?
I think it's actually,
I was going to say, is it 2 weeks or is it 3 weeks?
Probably three.
When is the next meeting?
Right after.
28.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it's our next meeting is the 28th.
Oh, okay, so, yeah, right.
It's up to the board,
Right? I need to
So,
know.
so basically, you're saying that there's a good chance that you won't have everything done in 2 weeks?
Well, I guess the submittal would be on Thursday of next week for that Tuesday meeting, so that stuff would have to be in for Wednesday at the latest.
Thursday next week's Thanksgiving, yeah. So
Right.
Okay, and most people, are you even open on Wednesday? Most,
On Wednesday?
yeah, most schools are all closed on Wednesday.
No, we're open on Wednesday.
Yeah,
Yeah. no,
town hall is open
Town
next
is,
Wednesday.
town hall is open on Wednesday, not on Thursday.
Look at the selectmen, is it?
I mean, it's very short time, but I mean, it has been 5 weeks since we,
We'll get it in by Wednesday then.
okay.
And one point is that the architecturals have been submitted to the building department, so they are at the town level anyways. They haven't been submitted, I guess, with this application, but I'm told that they're submitted to the building department.
Per the site plan regulations, they're supposed to be in a planning board application.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
So if they exist, that's
But I
great.
mean, they exist, so
They're not
that it's easy to get them here. and
Right.
that's-
Right.
Yeah.
They don't have to be created, they just have to be copied and sent. That's-
Correct.
I might make a suggestion that since the next meeting is, what is the date? I'm sorry. Is on the 28th, that if we continue it now until the 28th, then we could take jurisdiction, and then there wouldn't be so much holiday in between. It would still give time to get stuff. I mean, I realize Christmas is in there too, but,
The planning board office isn't open Thursday either.
I will say there is nothing that says the planning board can't accept jurisdiction and do a conditional approval on the same night.
Right.
Well, I'm not certain whether or not we'd get all of our reports in.
right. We still need to get from Mike and whatever, after he looks at the
Correct.
plan.
I say, if we don't have all the information, don't take jurisdiction tonight,
that's what our rules say, right?
right? Looks like,
That's what our
Missing some
rules say,
stuff.
that's how I would vote, would be
Right.
with all of our rules. That's why we have them.
I was just throwing that out there as a way to speed up the process.
Doesn't sound like it does.
But yeah, that's what my question was. It doesn't seem like if we take jurisdiction, we're not speeding up
we're
the
not
process.
helping anything.
well, you,
Okay.
as Mr. Doggy said, it would put on us to get everything in that 65 days, or else you could vote it down.
Correct?
So do you want us to put pressure on you?
Sure. We work under
I would
deadlines.
hope it would not take 65 days to get,
The few
remaining
things that are left, right.
documents.
We
Right.
don't-
It's pretty minor stuff,
But
it
it's-
appears.
I vote no. No.
So you basically have two options, either accept jurisdiction or a continuance.
well, either way, even if we accept jurisdiction, we still can continue.
Right.
I
it-
mean,
right,
as
Yeah, right.
action on the,
Right,
Yeah.
right,
Yeah, if we-
Either way, we know it's going to be continued.
right,
What?
Either way, we know it's going to be continued.
Right.
right.
Yeah, we need the review of that other stuff.
Okay, do I have anyone that wants to opt to take jurisdiction tonight?
I'll make a motion that we don't take jurisdiction and we continue it until the next meeting.
Second.
You got that? Okay. All those in favor? Yep, wait, yeah.
Good evening, Matt Burrell, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen. So, I'm not an expert in this area, so you'll have to excuse me, but I'm just wondering,